talked to Nanny.
Yeah.
She said that she recommended me to you.
Yeah.
And she also told me that you're a three-cushion player.
Yeah. Pretty much exclusively these days.
Really?
Yeah. So what I would really want to focus on is more so like mechanics.
Okay.
As opposed to say position play or touchy shots. And then, it's part of having solid fundamentals, being able to like make thin cuts accurately is important. And a handful of shots on three cushion. So I think those are kind of the things I want to focus on. Really fell out of discipline for
Are you
getting
looking
down
to
on a shot.
improve your three-cushion play, or are you looking for to develop your pool game?
Not so much the pool game, just really the mechanics, checking my stroke, focusing on the bridge.
Okay.
Yeah, my bridge, even though it's closed, is pretty loose, and then bridging off the rail is something I would like to work on.
Okay.
And yeah, and then just stroke. My cue is kind of short. I'm kind of tall. And so there are times where I'm gripping the back of the cue but playing maximum follow and then miscue because you kind of curve off a little bit.
Right.
So that's kind of what I'm looking for. And I'm happy to do it through the medium of pool. I don't mind.
Okay. That's good since I have a pool table.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
That's kind of where I'm at.
All right.
Switch my glasses.
Why don't you just for a couple of minutes just get on the table and shoot a few shots. And I don't care about the making balls or anything like that or position play.
Sure.
I'm gonna watch your fundamentals,
your
stroke and your bridge and all that kind of stuff.
Sounds good.
Okay. How long have you been playing billiards?
I really picked it up in 2019. Then I was playing only a couple times, maybe once a month or so during lockdown. So, a few years, 3, 4. The game's still improving, but pretty far from what it should be if I've been playing that long.
Have you ever considered getting a longer cue?
I have. But this is the one cue that I've purchased for a carom, and I only had one cue for pool. And I feel like I could easily ask some taller professional players what they use, but I'm just so hesitant about buying a very expensive cue without getting a chance to try.
May I look at your cue?
Yeah. So this is it. Normally when I play pool, I play with a bit of a longer, smaller shaft. But this is about the best budget cue you can get for carom. It's $400, $500.
Okay.
South Korean, one of the most reputable
What you might consider,
brands.
I don't know what thread this uses, but you might consider seeing about adding an extension that you can just screw in the middle. Yeah, they make, there's a few companies that make some standard like 4-inch extensions.
Yeah, my friend gave me one. I feel like I probably had it in my case, but I feel like it just makes the cue too heavy. I've got this guy that will go on.
Right.
So I haven't tried using it too much.
Right. It definitely changes the balance, and if you're sensitive to that, I mean, for beginner players, I usually, they don't really notice a difference. But if you've been playing for a while and there's a lot of finesse in your game, it does take a little bit of getting used to.
Right.
But it's something you could practice with and see if that helps a little bit.
Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing if you think that'll make a difference just from how it is here. So is there any particular way to start this?
No, just hit some shots.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do.
All right. Let's start with the one ball. That's easiest. Yeah, Manny was actually the one that first got me into pool. Started playing APA together in maybe 2016, 2017.
Okay. Three Cushion is a great game.
I love it so much. I was at APA 4 when I was last playing. I just got so frustrated with like trying to be disciplined about running out a rack.
Right.
Seeing I could maybe see the 3 shots ahead of me, but then if you mess up, you got to readjust. And I just got so frustrated with that.
It's about being able to reevaluate. You should reevaluate after every shot.
Right. And so with 3 Cushion, I like it so much because each shot is its own little puzzle.
Sure.
Whereas pool is maybe more so the rack is kind of the thing you need to solve.
So your fundamentals are pretty solid.
That's good. Yeah, I think getting down on a shot, I feel like I do differently each time. I don't know. Yeah, just like stepping into the line. I feel like with a lot of 3 Cushion shots, I have a tendency to raise my elbow quite a bit as I'm stroking.
But during the stroke?
Yeah, on the back, on the way back.
Okay.
And I kind of go back and forth between trying to think about not doing that and just shooting the shot.
I do notice that, it's subtle, but your approaches to the shots do seem to change. It seems to change with the difficulty of the shot.
Interesting.
Either approach is it looks good.
Yeah.
But obviously, a good pre-shot routine and consistency is really important.
Yeah. I watched that with the top players of any game.
Yeah, if you watch, I don't watch a whole lot of 3 Cushion billiards. I do occasionally. It's just the game fascinates me. But I watch a lot of professional pool players, of course, and you get a sense of with some of them that doesn't matter. Like if you look at let's see who, but all of a sudden my mind went blank with names. Yeah. But there are some players who every single shot is meticulous. It doesn't matter if you're shooting this shot right here or if you're shooting this shot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they take the same amount of care,
Right.
because it's not just about making the ball; it's about putting the cue ball exactly where they want it to go, or understanding where the cue ball is going to go. Right. Do you concern yourself much with cue ball position when you're playing three cushion?
With three cushion, not so much. The most important thing for that is usually how you hit the first ball and where you're sending that first ball.
Right.
It's so tough to control which side of the
right.
second object ball you hit.
Right, because you have to hit obviously you are concerned with cue ball position because you want to specifically send it to the second ball. So that obviously makes
so there's that, but then I feel like when playing position, it's much more about the speed you land on the second ball,
right?
As opposed
you don't want to blast it, you want to just make it, that makes a lot of sense.
So a lot of three cushion position play is how thick you hit the first ball, where you're sending it, and then how fast you play the shot, because sometimes you want to play at extra speed to like bump it out.
Sure.
Being stuck on the
you want to put that first ball into a position later that's where it's easy to get it into the corner, that sort of thing.
And for me, I play maybe 400, 500 average, so it's like every other turn I'm making a point. I can run 3, 4 in a match, but my average is still pretty low, at like 0.4.
Do you play by feel or do you use the systems?
I have a number of systems that I use for practicing, and occasionally I'll pull out the numbers during a game, but usually I just use a set of numbers for like estimations as opposed to doing the full calculation.
Right. I think that would probably help you improve learning to do those calculations very quickly in your head.
Right. Yeah.
You don't want to bore your opponent and
yeah.
taking a minute for every single shot.
Right. There's a French player who's in the top 16, and he uses all 40 seconds every single shot.
Really?
He'll shoot at 38, 39 seconds, no matter what.
Do they actually give you a violation if you take too long?
Yeah. So if you take too long, it's just loss of turn. For a while, they were playing without a shot clock, and they were playing 30 seconds, 50 seconds. No. I landed on 40 seconds. But in the US Nationals, there's no shot clocks, which is kind of interesting. So our top player sometimes will take 2 minutes for a difficult position. And he's only finally getting back to using a shot clock when he plays internationally. Like his game was so bad for a while under the pressure of that.
Right. Question about your approach.
Yeah.
So what I've noticed is sometimes you get right behind the line of the aim and you step right into it.
Okay.
Other times you seem to come in from an angle.
Yeah.
Do you know why you do that?
Usually I think coming in from an angle, I'm kind of looking at a ghost ball.
Okay.
And then finding the spot on the ball there.
Okay.
And kind of stepping in from the side.
Right.
As opposed to maybe stepping back and then going back into the line of aim again.
Right. I like the idea of getting on the line of the aim.
Yeah.
So, obviously in pool we use aim a lot more than you do in billiards. Billiards, you're really looking just to hit a percentage of the first ball so that you can get it going. So the cue ball goes in the right direction.
Yeah.
But let's just talk about this in terms of pool.
Yep, that's fine.
So here's your ghost ball right here.
Yep.
Right? So when you're getting on, what I like is you see the line from the ball to the ghost ball, right?
Yep.
You're standing right in that your vision center.
Mhm.
It's kind of complicated with two eyes. You know,
Yeah.
some people they talk about left eye dominance, right eye dominance. What I prefer, what some like Dr. Dave, I don't know if you know,
Yeah.
if you're familiar with him, he talks about a vision center. So it's just your perception of exactly right on the line, right? And then you can kind of look at that, and then your head stays on that line, and you approach it, right? So coming in at an angle, it may be something that you developed somehow for some reason, but it's usually not going to give you as much accuracy.
Right.
Okay. So as far as your approach goes, I would say try to focus on that.
Yep.
Try to make sure that you are. So go ahead and do it.
Okay. That seems right.
So, I mean, as far as your stroke, your delivery, your aim, those all seem really, really good, and I like your stroke mechanics. It's kind of necessary to have good stroke mechanics to play good billiards.
Yeah.
You know, because that cue ball and the spin that you're putting on the cue ball and all of that is very important. But before we get into like things like that, let's talk about some of the other fundamentals. So your stroke looks good. Is it important for you? I've noticed a lot of billiards players seem to have a high. They seem to be up high. They don't, you know, because they're not as concerned, I don't think, with the actual aim of the cue ball. You know, to put the ball in, the precision of the aim. What they're really concerned with more is, I need this cue ball. This is actually a drill that I give my beginner pool players for learning ball position. You'll notice I got the circles on here. So you got this one here, and this one here, and obviously it's an easy shot. But the idea is to make the cue ball go around the table and learn position. So you got your light shots, which is going to come, and what's going to basically do with this position uses the 222 rule that where it goes at the second diamond, second diamond, second diamond. It should come across the middle of the table most of the time. So. So with a shot like this, I noticed that a lot of people, when they're more concerned with position and spin of the ball and stuff like that, they tend to aim up higher, rather than down low.
Right. And
so is that something that you?
I would say I go in between. Generally, over the last few years, I would say I have a much higher stance than pool players. But then when I'm concerned with the thickness, I feel like I get down really low.
Okay.
But I'm not sure that it's beneficial to be switching back and forth between them. So
in that case, I mean, you probably want to just do whatever feels natural at the time. Not really think about, I should be higher or I should be lower. You just do what feels natural to you.
Because sometimes when I'm really down low, it feels like I lose sight of some things.
Right.
But then when I'm up really high, I'm like,
can you show me what it looks like when you shoot a low shot?
A low shot?
Yeah.
Sure,
So like you're aiming on this thing and you want to be as precise as possible so you get nice and low.
Usually that's about as low.
Perfect, right through the center. So, yeah, the only thing I would say is that if it doesn't feel comfortable to you, you know, like maybe you shoot higher most of the time and you have to get low to be more precise sometimes. It doesn't feel comfortable.
Right.
What I would do is I would widen your stance a little bit.
Yeah, because there I felt, you know, kind of back here.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
and like
if you, so I'll show you what it looks like. I'll try to emulate yours first. So you get behind the ball, and your stance is about like that. And then you're getting way down on the ball, and you do feel that right here. what I would suggest is that you widen your stance just a little bit,
Mhm.
and it's more of a squat as you're bending over, and then you can get really super low on it, right? So that's the only thing I would suggest if you are deliberately trying to be a little bit lower on your shots. I don't know that I would actually recommend that you do lower your aim.
Yeah.
As a three cushion player, you've established. I think you've established that fairly well. So, but yeah, try a wider stance, a little bit wider stance, a little bit more of a squat as you're going down. You'll find that you can get really low to the cue ball.
Right. Yeah. And
Does that feel a little more comfortable?
Yeah, certainly. And I took a little bit of a step back with my right foot.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fine as opposed to like just adjusting the left?
Whatever's comfortable and puts you in a position where you're right on the right line. So, yeah, if that feels good to you, that's fine.
Okay.
Beginners, I usually recommend, I have to be a lot more precise about where their back foot is in relation to the line and all that kind of stuff. But that's always a baseline, right? I think you're beyond the baseline. I think as long as you're comfortable, and you can be, and your vision center is right there, and you feel centered on the shot. You don't feel like because a lot of times you can get on the shot, say a shot straight in the pocket, but you kind of come in at an angle and you're like this, so you're kind of like leaning. But it's an easy shot, so you don't adjust, right? So you're just like, screw it, or just shoot it.
Yeah.
So, but as long as you feel centered on the shot, right? This is another drill I like to give people.
Mm-hmm.
This is a kind of a neat. I don't know if it lined up exactly straight, but so from here, you can actually put the cue ball anywhere on the table. Straight in shot. Ball in the center of the table, object ball halfway to the pocket. Mm-hmm. You can cheat the pocket a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I can cheat it to this side with some right hand spin. Cue ball comes out this way. You imagine it as like in three cushion, you have a shot like this where the balls are like this, and maybe your second ball is anywhere on the table. Let's say here. Obviously, we're going for three cushions, but you get the idea.
Sure. Yeah.
So I would cheat the pocket a little bit to the right, put some left-hand spin on it. So, but anyway, yeah. As long as your vision center and everything feels centered, I think you're good.
Okay.
So let's talk about your. Well, before we get to the bridge, let's talk about your grip.
Right.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Do you tend to use a firm grip, loose grip?
Usually pretty loose. For a while, I was actually holding the cue like this. That was kind of the extreme. Mm-hmm. But now, what I've been trying to emulate the last 3 or 4 months, I see a lot of players hold with just the two fingers, and then you kind of close it as you're going through the shot. I see this kind of motion where it actually comes out a lot.
That's understandable. A lot of people do shoot like that. The big problem with that is accuracy.
Yep.
When you're going for a half ball hit to get the balls to come around, it's okay if you're a little bit less, a little bit more. Yep. Cue ball will pretty much follow the same track, especially if you've got a big ball you're shooting at, right?
Right.
So that might not be as important, but in the interest of sometimes you're going to have to be accurate, and you want consistency. You want your pre-shot routine, everything up to delivery of the ball should almost be identical every time.
Right.
So my recommendation is, number one, yes, you want a grip that's no air, right? So you don't want that. You do want a single pivot point. Some players will do this. Some players use the middle finger.
Okay.
This one, for me, I think feels a little more. I don't really care about the other fingers. Sometimes they'll be resting on the cue.
Yep.
But the important thing is a couple of things. One, my wrist is straight up and down.
Right.
Right. If you want to make sure that it's straight up and down, just point your fingers. Right. So say you're using this.
Yeah.
Point your fingers directly to the floor.
Yeah.
When your elbow is straight up and down and your fingers are pointing forward, your wrist is in a perfect position.
Right.
Then you can loosen up. It's just keep it in that position.
Interesting. Yeah.
You don't really want to shoot like this.
Right.
You want everything to be relaxed.
Yeah.
Right. Your pivot point is the connection with the cue. It's not your wrist, and you don't pivot your wrist.
Yeah.
Some people will pivot it a little bit when they're trying to go for more speed than accuracy, right? Then it's okay to do that if you're pretty practiced at it. During the break, you'll see that a lot. You'll see people kind of snap the cue forward. Yeah. But you don't really, and that's where you're talking about where you do the grip, right? Some people do this and then they grip as they're stroking. That can cause this sort of thing, right?
Exactly.
And that decreases your accuracy.
Yeah.
So you really want to do a delivery all the way through with. See how I'm doing that?
Yep.
Wrist is locked. The only pivot point you can see my hand is not moving. Is just the connection between my fingers and the cue. But with a grip like this, obviously, I have to move my wrist in order to be able to. In order to accommodate the motion. Yeah. Right. So that's I did notice that your grip. And this happens to a lot of people. Sometimes they kind of put their a little bit forward or a little bit back. Yours seems to be a little bit like this. Yeah. So I would just work on that. Okay. If you need, like when you're practicing, if you need to just kind of reinforce that.
Yeah.
Again,
I think this is interesting.
Pointing straight down at the and
right.
then lock your wrist.
Okay.
Okay. Try a couple shots with that.
Interesting.
And the other thing that you want to be sure of, and this might be more difficult with with a shorter cue,
right? And
depending on your bridge length.
Yep.
Go ahead and get down. So at the point of contact, so put your tip close to the ball, almost on the top of it. At that point, your back. This is perfect. Your back wrist should be, or your back arm should be straight up and down. Okay. Because this is the middle of your stroke, right?
Right.
So stroke back, forward. Back and forward. That's the middle. The middle of your stroke is when you hit the ball, right?
Right.
Not the exact middle, but that's the middle of your stroke. So at that point, this is the back. This is the forward, right? So the middle, the point of contact, should be boom right there. So when you're down on the shot, and you see professionals do this. Some professionals don't do a lot of this. Some of them do a lot of this. Yeah. Some of them put the cue right there. And really what they're doing is they're feeling their back arm. How does their back arm feel? And they might do a little slip stroke, right? To kind of get in that right position. Right. As soon as it feels good, then okay, now we grip, and now we can get down.
Right.
And it's right there. So, yeah, yours looks good, but there's a danger if you're going for a little bit more of a powerful stroke. Let's say you're doing almost a full ball hit with a lot of follow or something like that. And you need a nice strong shot. What you're going to do naturally is give yourself a longer bridge.
Right. Yes.
The distance between your bridge and your grip is always the same. It never changes, right? So stand over there and watch.
Okay.
So in my first shot, mentally, I'm looking at this going, I got to slam this ball in, right? So I'm going to get down, nice long bridge. And you can see where my grip is. It's back near the back of my grip on the cue, on my wrap. Now, if I look at this and go, you know what, I want to do a soft shot. So I like to use a closer bridge because it just, right, because my stroke is going to be the same. My stroke timing is going to be the same. 1, 2, stroke, right? Yep. 1, 2, stroke. You can see that one's going to hit a ball a lot harder than the other.
Right.
So I get closer to make a soft shot. And you'll notice my grip is a lot farther up, right? The distance between my bridge and my grip on the cue doesn't change because my body size doesn't change, right?
Yeah.
The only thing that changes is position of the cue.
Okay.
Right? Long shot,
Yep.
short shot.
Yep.
Okay. This distance does not change. So obviously, for you, this is fine, right? But here, what happens?
Yeah.
We're getting to the end of our cue, right? So the longer your bridge is, the closer to the butt you're going to be.
Yep.
And with a shorter cue, you're going to reach the end a lot faster.
Yep.
So what you end up having to do is you end up having to compromise and do a little bit of a, a grip that's a little closer in. And then, which is ironic because your longer bridge is because you're trying to put more power into it.
Mm-hmm.
But because your arm isn't straight up and down,
sure.
you're not going to be able to put as much power into it. So it's kind of a compromise. That's where using that extension on there is going to probably help you. And if you practice a lot with it or play with it like that all the time, eventually you'll get used to it.
Right. Yeah.
Until at some point, you can. Another thing you can do is you can get a cue manufacturer to create a longer shaft.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because this is the biggest shaft that I make for Carom, at least like standard.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's meant for the extra length.
Yeah, like you'll see here.
Right. Yep. That's about the difference between my old shaft and this one. It's like 69
and they make even longer ones. They'll make some that are even 4 inches longer.
Yeah.
And a custom cue manufacturer can make one to your specifications.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you know Robbie Ling.
Not personally, but
okay.
My
he
friends work with him. Yeah.
He plays at Crown, and he does cue work there, repair work on Thursdays, the first Thursday of every month.
Yeah.
At Crown. He could do something like that if you want, if you are so inclined. Or he could make if you decided that you wanted something lighter,
right,
but you wanted a little bit long, let's say 5 or 6 inches, extension would work for you.
Yeah.
He might be able to do that for you as well. So something to consider. So try to keep that back arm as perpendicular as possible until you reach the butt, and then you're like,
right.
And then you're kind of limited.
So let's try here from doing a short bridge. Kind of like that. That seems pretty far back for the cue. So let's go a couple inches more. It's kind of almost there.
Got enough power there, so I think.
I think what I was mentioning earlier, when I would raise my elbow, is generally when I'm way at the end of the cue, which I don't know that there's any rhyme or reason to that, but certainly feel like.
Do you feel like you move your elbow during the shot, or are you just raising your elbow before the shot?
On the backstroke, it would be raising during the backstroke.
Also during your practice
and dropping on the follow through, or like as the forward stroke.
I haven't noticed you moving your elbow too much.
Certainly not today.
If I do notice it, I'll keep an eye for it. But
I
mean, you're aware.
Of it.
Yeah. It's usually best to try to keep your elbow as locked as possible.
Yeah.
Some players will actually will drop their elbow. You get a little bit more follow through. Like this right here is with no drop. Right? It doesn't feel like you're like putting everything into it. Excuse me. You know, but if you're like trying to get a little more power, maybe a lot like a power draw or something like that, they'll drop their elbow and kind of get a little bit more follow through, a little more punch.
Right.
If it works for you, it's fine. But it's, you know, for beginner players, I try to prevent them. I try to keep them from doing that because it just adds another level of complexity to them trying to learn how to do the stroke, right?
Yep.
But if you've been playing for a while and you're comfortable with it, the elbow drop sometimes can help you a little bit with the power, especially in 3 cushion when you need to really move that cue ball. Because in pool, this is a perfectly legitimate shot. Right? Cue ball doesn't move. That's not going to win you games. You got to get that cue ball dancing around the table all the time. So, you know, and obviously with thinner shots, the cue ball is going to be moving, but with your thicker shots, you need to not only move the ball, but also with some spin, right? So, completely understandable.
And I think it's kind of towards those extremes of being really soft is still useful. I have a lot of friends that play the small games like straight rail and Korean 4-ball. And there, you know, you get the balls together and you just tap them over and over and over.
Yeah, the little ticky.
And so
I understand the game. It's not pretty. I like 3 cushion because it's pretty. Like, oh, how are you gonna get this one? You know.
I don't like it because, you know, you get a position like this.
Right.
Okay, I should make 200 points, and then the next shot.
Oops. And then the other guy makes the 200 points, right? Yeah, I get you. Let's talk about the bridge.
Yes.
Okay.
Please.
Couple of things. First, I did notice that you do have a very loose bridge.
Yes.
You use a closed bridge, but it's effectively an open bridge because this is no different than this.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So, and that's fine if it works, but if you're looking to do a little bit, you know, a harder shot with a lot of spin and you don't want to miss cue, closed bridge is what you need.
Right.
Are you comfortable with a closed bridge, a firm closed bridge?
I just feel like I haven't tried it in so long, and everything kind of feels awkward with just my fingers. And
have you ever used a glove?
I have in the past.
Okay.
Usually, I don't like the feeling of them.
Okay.
Like my hands get sweaty.
There are different gloves. They make the ones a while ago. The Sir Joseph gloves were the ones that were really popular.
But for whatever reason, you know, I keep my shaft very clean and I like refinish it every so often.
Okay.
So there's not a ton of friction.
Okay.
Like here, I'm like squeezing with all my might on my bridge. Yeah. And it still can kind of go.
Yeah. Here, I can squeeze as hard as possible, and I can still move the cue.
Right.
You know, obviously it's, you know, but I can't. It's almost impossible for me to grip it hard enough to hold it from moving. Right.
Yeah.
Without the bridge, I haven't really tried that. Without the glove, I can stop it. So, yeah, I like the glove because not because necessarily that I have a problem with, especially with the graphite. You know what is it? Carbon fiber. Yeah. The carbon fiber shafts. They're very smooth. You know, they don't collect a lot of sweat, and if they do, you just wipe it right off.
Right.
So they're pretty consistent. But from place to place, shooting with, you know, here when it's cold, going to the pool hall where there's a lot of people and there's humidity and the heat is a little more, or playing in a tournament where the lights are really bright.
Yep.
They're very different conditions. Having a glove just gives you that consistency.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, if you're comfortable without the glove and you're fine, you don't have any stickiness problems. Yeah. Then it's just a matter of getting used to a tighter grip.
Yep.
obviously you want to close, just like with this. You don't want to be doing this, right? Same thing here. You don't want, if you're using a closed bridge, the whole reason for that is stability.
Exactly.
Yep. And if it's loose, then you don't have that stability.
Right.
So
yeah,
give it a try and see. Let me take a look at what you've got.
So yeah, this is just like, I'll just do what I normally do.
Okay.
Because it's what is the most comfortable.
Yeah, and you can see, there's all this space, and so
Sort of. Yeah. There's a way to kind of cheat it a little bit.
right. And so like,
we'll go over those, but yeah.
kind of like this. So I feel like this is probably a little bit tighter than what I would normally play with.
The other thing is, this shaft gets so thick, and with the straight taper, that I feel like maybe it's kind of a side effect of that. If I'm bridging like this, then it needs to be quite thick.
That is a tough part with using a straight taper like that. With these, like this shaft here, the taper doesn't start till about here, so it's very consistent going through. But with something like that, that can be a little tougher. I do understand that.
I feel like when I pick up a normal pool cue, I can almost not play with it. It just feels like a pencil or something. I've gotten so used to this.
Yeah. You usually play with a thicker shaft for billiards, right? Because the balls are a little bit bigger.
Yeah. So maybe it's just like, maybe I just need to spread my fingers out a little bit more.
So there's a couple ways to do a good, effective closed bridge. One of them is the way fingertips, right?
Yeah.
So this is not good. So what you do is you kind of pinch it, right? You just kind of now notice you use a more it's a little harder to do that with your bridge because you're not using this kind of bridge. You're kind of going underneath it like this.
Yeah. Okay.
Which I know that a lot of three cushion players do that. In that case, you probably don't want to use a fingertip. You want to use more of a wrap, right?
Yeah.
And that can be difficult if you're not used to it. That can become difficult.
So odd.
Yeah. But something like this might work for you. Okay. So really, you're not using your thumb as much. You're just kind of wrapping your index finger around and just kind of putting your thumb right next to it.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
And again, how I don't know if you ever remember what it was like when you first started to try to play pool. But you can try playing left-handed and kind of get that feeling back where it's really awkward and it doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
That's all you're feeling now.
Right.
If you stick with it, go through a practice session where you're practicing that bridge every single time, then you'll start to get used to it. It'll start to feel right.
Yeah. Normally, if I'm out at a bar playing pool and there's nobody there,
I'm just sitting around. I'll always play opposite-handed.
Yeah.
Just because it makes you think so much
about
what you're doing and it's so awkward.
As far as your taper goes, what I would suggest, I don't play. I don't play with a straight taper cue, but what I would suggest is just like what we talked about, how your back arm should be straight up and down at the point of contact. That's really where the grip is the most important because that's the moment you're going to contact it, right? So my grip right here is full. Okay. It's a little loose here.
I see.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a little looser here, but at the moment of contact, where I'm really concerned about right here is I'm hitting a lot of spin, and I don't want to miscue. Right. So I want to make sure that I have a full grip right there.
Yep.
Right. So let's say I'm going to put a lot of spin on this thing. My full grip there. It's a little loose on the back stroke, but that's okay because at the moment it thickens up just to the point of contact.
Right.
So something to consider. Try when you're practicing. Think of it in terms of that. Expect that it's going to be loose, tight as you're going through the stroke. But at the moment of contact, as long as your bridge is at the right diameter to give you that good firm grip on it, I think you're good. Okay. So let's talk about rail shots.
Yeah.
I know you actually mentioned that that's something that you wanted to work on.
Yeah.
All right. So show me a rail shot.
Yeah. So here.
I think I'm gonna tell you something that's going to really revolutionize it for you. It'll click.
Yeah, so I think what I've been doing is just here. I feel like these rails are a little bit wider. That might not make sense.
It's really tough when you're playing on a table that has a thinner rail too.
Yeah, I feel like I've mostly been trying to focus on the pinky. Still.
Where's pinky? Is it on top or is it on the side? Okay, I see.
Yeah. Still doing a close bridge like this, but then even with if the
That comes down. Just one table thing turned
on. One thing that I can never do that I see professionals do, especially I first noticed it through Dick Jasper's. He'll use just a bridge like this, and he can do that just fine. And he's comfortable enough that he can bring his cue way back here. You know.
Now, does he do it exactly like that?
I think pretty much. You know.
So
You
here's where I
see
stay
the
there.
cue.
Let me show you something that I think will really.
Yeah.
Go ahead and get back down.
Okay.
Okay. What I want you to do is lift up your thumb.
Okay.
And bring it all the way over.
Okay.
All the way over to the other side of the cue.
Oh, the other side.
There you go.
Oh. Interesting. Okay.
Does it feel weird?
Yeah, very.
But it gives you a lot more stability, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
And if you were to pull it back all the way through, pull it back, you're still against the thumb, right? And that might be what he's doing, because it's doubtful that he's doing something like this and not having any kind of support there at all. Most likely,
it must be that, yeah.
Yeah. This gives you a perfect edge to ride along. Right? You can even do the shot. You can almost do the shot without the finger on top.
Because when I see it and it leaves his index finger and middle finger, it's still on the same line. It doesn't really fall out. Right. So it must be that, yeah. Okay, very interesting. Okay.
And you don't have to, be flat like that. Like, you can kind of raise things up a little bit.
Yep.
You can curl this finger under. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. What you're really looking for is something on this side and something on this side.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Very interesting. Yeah, I feel like stability would help a lot because what's important is not to be going into the cue ball like this, because frequently I'll miscue like that.
This is a tough one because you have to hit it high. So
right, and having that thumb helps control it so much. Wow. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
that's very good.
As far as using a standard bridge off of the rail, it's kind of tough because you always want the, especially if you're shooting a long way. Let's say your first ball is down here, right? Now you want to be accurate. Well, let's say we're going for a half ball hit here. So what I do is I'll actually put my fingertips on the rail. I can still use these fingers.
Right.
And you can see if my cue is touching the rail and I'm hitting the cue ball where I want to hit it, then I can't go any lower than that, right? I can't get any straighter because straighter means hitting higher on the ball. I'm down as far as I can be. And that's what you want. You want it to be as level as possible. So you get some accuracy. Because you know that, I'm sure you know that if you're hitting at an angle and you hit with, you're just going to masse the ball. And you're going to miss your half ball hit wildly.
Yeah, one of my favorite shots.
Or masse?
Yeah. Love playing them in tradition.
Are you talking about slight masses or full masses?
Yeah, I can play shots like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Masses are a lot of fun,
Yeah.
and they're pretty.
Yeah.
So yeah, so your ball's like, say, this close, so you can't get on the table, and you're on the rail, and yeah, you can put your fingertips on the edge. You were doing what? Your pinky?
Yeah, that's what I was doing, and it's a little
That
awkward,
right
but
there
it's
is
better
nasty.
than nothing.
When you're bridging, the best thing you can have is a tripod.
Yeah.
Right. So the tripod is usually your heel and two fingers.
Yeah.
Right. So you'll see people tuck these in. You'll see them back up, but as long as there's 1, 2, 3, and they're in a triangle, you have a nice stable bridge.
Yep.
Obviously, when you're on the rail, especially with just your fingertips, you don't have the 3 points, but you want at least 2.
Okay.
Right. Having your pinky there,
Yeah.
and just your pinky. I get it, you're up against the table and it feels solid, but you still can do this.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? And how many times, I do this a lot, and how many times have you ever shot a shot and your brain just made you go, in the middle of your stroke, right?
Yeah.
I once was lining up a shot like this. You know what my brain did to me? I swear. I was just like lining up like this, and I twitched and hit the ball. And I was like a good 4 or 5 inches away.
Right.
Just, I couldn't believe it. So yeah, don't trust your brain at any time.
Yeah.
So yeah, 2 fingers. If you get 2 or 3 fingers on here, then you're not going to twitch. Or if you do get that twitch, it's not going to move your hand.
Right.
And you can actually use more of just your fingertips and get your hand a little lower. And look at that, you're right on the rail.
Yeah. Right. Right.
So like if you're shooting at this shot, you don't even have to be that far back. You can scoot up a little bit. Yeah. And you're getting a good solid hit on it. Just have to be careful with using English off a shot like that.
Yeah.
Because you will swerve, especially on a long shot. You'll swerve the ball a little bit and miss wildly. So yeah, that's your rail shot. For a rail shot where you're back here, and you got enough room to you can do an open bridge this way too.
Yeah.
Right. Just fingertips on the edge, and you go with a shot like this.
Yeah.
It feels comfortable enough that I don't have to really focus on my bridge. I just focusing on the shot. So full open bridge, closed bridge, both the same. And then of course when you're a little closer on the rail and you're aiming for something that's right on the rail, you want to be as level as possible. Then a shot like this works. Sometimes I'll put these 2 together.
Yeah.
Put that up against and just wrap over it.
Yeah.
So
never done that.
give it a try. See how it feels.
It feels great. I'm just so surprised,
Here, shoot this one. The rail shot.
Yep.
When you get up to reset yourself, that's a good thing to do. Make sure that you get fully up.
Yep.
All the way up.
Yep.
Reset your feet. Get back in your stance. Do everything over again.
Yep.
Does it feel good?
Feels good. Yeah.
You'll get more and more used to it.
It's great.
It'll take less thought. After a while, you just do that naturally. Just come on. You'll just naturally just get right into it. You won't even think about it.
It's great.
So that pretty much covers the fundamentals. I think that I think that you're right there,
Yeah.
and I think that you'll be able to pick those up and practice those pretty well. Okay. Well, so was there anything else that you wanted to? You'd mentioned some things besides the fundamentals. You're talking about thin shots.
Yeah.
I think.
Because three cushion. I feel like the most common thing that's difficult, 10-foot table. But there are some positions where you want to play 4 rails. The automatic line is if you hit a quarter of, if you're straight on with, let's say, the 10 ball, you hit a quarter of the ball on a billiard table, no English, you'll just come around 4 rails to the corner.
Okay.
And so it's really, I feel like there are times when I do that, and I can't get a consistent quarter ball. Sometimes they're too big, sometimes if I'm playing with a little bit of English, sometimes I'll just miss the entire ball.
Yeah,
because I'm trying to play too thin. So it's kind of that shot. I feel like hitting an eighth of a ball accurately from that distance is very tough.
But, it is tough.
But
it
just like
it is tough, yeah.
Getting a consistent quarter ball is like a good goal.
Let me show you what I teach people for aim in pool. And then we'll figure out how to apply that also to billiards. So when we're concerned with aim in pool, we're concerned with where the object ball is going, right?
Yeah.
Not where the cue ball is going to go. But it's the same thing. You have to hit a certain percentage of the ball to make the ball in. So, when we're shooting a shot like this, beginners learn the ghost ball method. It's something that we have been talking about. Right?
Yep.
So you just picture the ball there. That's where you have to hit it. And that's where you aim, right? Here's the problem with the ghost ball method. The ghost ball method requires that you aim, you figure this out, and then you aim at that little orange dot.
Right, yeah.
You don't see a little orange dot, right? You see empty space.
Yeah.
So where's that little orange dot? And if the balls are, you're trying to make that ball there, that far, one little width of that thing, which is about a millimeter, to the right or left, you're going to miss that ball, right? Ghost ball is fantastic for a shot like this. I'm teaching a beginner how to make this shot. Well, the ghost ball is right here. We look at that spot. We shoot it. It goes in the pocket, right? It might be a little bit thin and hits here, or it might be a little thick and it hits the rail there, but it's going to go in on most tables, especially beginners playing on valley tables with 5.5-inch pockets, right? Yeah. But when we're looking for more accuracy, especially on a thin shot, hitting a little bit to the left is going to cut this thing over here or miss the ball entirely. Or hitting a little bit to the right of that ghost ball spot, you're gonna miss, right? It's very little margin for error. So I like to try to teach a little. This is great for beginners, but I like to teach a little bit more advanced aiming for pool players who are really looking to up their game. And what I do here is I'm looking at the contact points now. Okay. And this is going to help you because that's what you're most concerned with is contact points, right? Yep. You're not looking to make this ball go in a certain direction. You just know that with a quarter ball hit, you come over here and you're like, okay, I need to hit it right here. You know where the contact point is. So as long as you understand the contact points, now we can work with contact points. And here's the cool thing. So you can visualize in your mind, you're not going to be able to see, but you can kind of visualize where that contact point is. Even when you're looking here and you can't see it because of the distortion of the balls. And any other ball that's opaque anyway, you can't see it. But you know where the contact point is. If you're looking at the two balls and they overlap, right? That contact point, if I can show you here. So let's say the overlap is that much. Contact point's right there. Always right in the center of that little football overlap. Right? It doesn't matter if the balls are the overlap is almost full ball. The contact point's in the center. Or if the balls are
Yeah.
Super thin contact point is right in the center of those two overlap. So what you want to do is, in your mind's eye, you want to look at that overlap. Okay, you're not really looking at a true overlap here. You're looking at a potential overlap.
Yep.
Right. I know I need to aim right about here. I know where my contact point is, right? And here's the thing: you're going to draw this picture in your mind. I know where I'm looking at my object ball. Here's my object ball. I know where the contact point is. I can see that it's right there. Well, what does that give you? That says, well, you have half of this picture already, right? You've got this part of the curve and the contact point. All you have to do is complete that curve.
Right.
That's going to give you your overlap. So, working backwards, you know that particular shot that you're talking about is a quarter ball hit, right? So here's your first ball. Your second is going to go across here, right? So this is a quarter ball. So your contact point is technically an eighth of a ball, right? So you're going to look at that contact point. You're going to see this in your mind. There's my contact point. Here's how far that contact point is from the edge of the ball. I just need to complete the picture in my mind, and what's the overlap that you're creating is where the cue ball is going to occupy that space. Does that make sense? So in a shot like this, you can see that shooting from here, your overlap is very, very thin. But you can still see the contact points, right? The contact point is pretty much the edge of the ball, maybe a little bit inside, maybe a millimeter inside. The contact point is almost the edge of the ball. It's about a millimeter there. You line those up, right? And in your mind's eye, you can see that the path of the ball, the centers of the ball, is going to be here. But what you're aiming in your head is this line. Does that make sense? So this is the path of the object ball to the ghost ball.
Yep.
Right? That's the path of the centers of the ball.
Yep.
What you're aiming is the path of the contact points, which is parallel to it. Right?
Okay.
Just like that.
Right.
So that's my aim. That's what I'm looking at. So when I'm looking at this shot, I'm aiming those two spots right there, but I'm shooting parallel to it. Right? I'm visualizing those two contact points coming together.
Interesting.
Again, that's a very tough shot.
Yeah, sure.
So with a super thin shot like that, that's where the contact points are, right?
Yep.
And as you move this, and you can go ahead and move it. So move it a little bit this way. Now you can see that overlap is thicker.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the contact points right in between the two of them, right?
Right.
You come over here, contact point is even thicker.
Yep.
Or the overlap is thicker, but the contact point's right in between them.
Yep.
And you move over here, and it's a full ball hit.
Yeah.
Where's the contact point? Right in the center. Every single time.
Okay.
Right? So that contact point doesn't change. It's always the center of the overlap of the two balls. All you have to do is picture, okay, so you know you need a quarter ball hit.
Yep.
The quarter ball hit is going to be the left side of that ball from your perspective is going to be here.
Yes.
The contact point is between those 2 points, right about there.
Yep.
Right? So you know that you need to aim the contact point on here. You need to finish the overlap. Since your contact point is right here at an eighth of a ball, your overlap is going to be a quarter, and that's where you're going to aim the edge of that cue ball, right at that quarter spot right there.
Yep.
That's your aim line. Try that. I don't know how that'll work on this table.
Yeah,
but
yeah, it'll probably just play a little bit short.
Yeah.
It's interesting. The contact point versus overlap. That seemed too thin.
A little bit. So let's go a little closer just so we can get the concept. It's a little easier. So there's a few steps to this process. You know that you're looking for a quarter of a ball hit.
Yep.
So you know that for a quarter ball hit, your contact point is like right about there. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
In your case, you can probably skip in this particular case because you know the rule is a quarter ball hit. Mm-hmm. So you're just aiming for a quarter ball hit. You don't even have to worry about the contact point. The contact point gets you to how much of the ball to hit. Mm. You're trying to find where that you know this part.
Yep.
You're trying to find this part.
Right.
Yep. So you know, well, the contact point is here. So here's the other part of it, right? Or you can say, I know the contact point is here. Here's the distance to the edge of the ball. Double that. That's the edge of the cue ball coming at the ball. That's my quarter ball, eighth ball, half ball, whatever. Right. Think about how you aim a half ball hit. You're aiming the center of that ball at the edge of this ball.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. So all you're doing is aiming the edge of that ball to halfway between the middle and so on a striped ball like this, yep. It's kind of a visual cue.
Yep.
This is a quarter of the ball. The white part is a quarter of the ball.
Right.
Right. So for a quarter ball hit,
edge
needs to aim at this line.
Yep.
Yeah. And there it is. And with Simonis on a heated table,
yeah.
that probably would have gone all the way. So does that make sense? Does what I told you make sense? If it doesn't, it's fine. We'll keep going over it.
Yeah.
We'll make sure that you understand what you're going for here.
Generally, I think that I've never thought about how the contact point is just half of the overlap, and I can see how that will be helpful.
Yeah, and you can see that here. I can actually just show you here.
Right.
You know where the contact point is right there.
Yeah.
You can see it, and you know where the contact point is there.
Yep.
And as I spin this ball, you can just see that the contact point is right in the center of that football shape.
Right.
No matter how big it is.
Right.
Right. So that proves that it's true.
Yep.
You just kind of have to be able to visualize that. You're not always going to know. And in your case, playing three cushion, I don't think you need to worry about the contact point as much. Mm-hmm. What I'm trying to get you here is getting away from ghost ball and aiming precisely.
Yep.
Maybe you know that you've played this game long enough that you know. Let's say you're shooting this shot, right? And you know that on this one, maybe it's a third of the ball or something like that. You know that.
Yep.
So you're not going to be aiming half ball, right? Which is center of the cue ball to the edge of the 10, or the edge of the cue to the center of the 10. That's both the same thing, right? Yeah. They're parallel to each other. So what we're going for is third of the ball, which in this case is this point right here, as an aim point, not a contact point, right? That's a third of the ball. We're going for a third of the ball overlap. So I'm just going to aim the edge of this ball to that spot. It's not half ball, it's a third of the ball, right? I don't know if that's actually accurate for the hitting the one ball, but. And then now I just know I just need to aim the edge of the cue ball to that. My cue stick is parallel to that line. Or maybe even, and that should be, if you think of it in terms of the way that you aim a shot when you're using English, it's no different. You're aiming the center of the ball to where you want to go, but you're hitting it off to the side, so your cue is parallel to your actual aim line.
Right.
So this is the same concept, but your actual aim line is the edge of the ball to a certain point on the 10, or the first ball, and then your actual stroke line is parallel to that. So I aim those. We'll see what happens. Almost.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
You're aiming a certain portion of this ball at a certain spot on this ball.
Mhm.
So for a half ball hit, you're aiming the edge of this ball to the center of this ball.
Yeah.
Either side. So it's either this one
Right.
to this one to here,
Yep.
to make the cue ball go that way, or this one to here to make the ball go that way. Half ball hits. So a quarter ball hit is the edge of that ball to this spot halfway between them.
Yeah.
That's a quarter
And
ball
then you
hit.
just shoot parallel.
You just shoot parallel to that, just like you're putting English on it.
Right.
In fact, if you were to hit on that line, you'd be putting left hand English on it,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
But you don't want English; you just want to get it straight.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. That I have not thought about before. And so.
You use that kind of aim all the time, where you're aiming down a
Yep.
line, but your cue stick is off center to that aim.
Yep.
Half ball by quarter ball.
So now that we've established that, let's try this shot again.
Yes.
And remember, you're playing in mud. That actually was probably pretty close to the line. Probably a little bit long.
Yep. I like this way of visualizing it. It really helps figure out, the thickness of the overlap, as opposed to guessing from the center of the ball.
Right.
Yeah.
There are rules of thumb.
Yep.
A quarter ball, is it a quarter ball head? Yeah. So if you took, that's not standard. Took a standard cube of chalk. On a pool table, obviously billiards balls are bigger, but a lot of times we take a general rule of thumb here that if you're shooting a 45-degree shot, so this is 45 degrees into the pocket, you aim right at the center of that piece of chalk. Try it. Just aim at the chalk, just ignore the ball. Right? Just a general rule of thumb as you're teaching people to play, the 30-degree rule. So if this line and this line, right, the line of aim to the line of the shot is 30 degrees, that's a half ball hit. Right? And you can just get down on the shot to aim it into making the pocket, and you can see you're aimed right at the edge of the one. Right?
Yep.
But if you're at 45 degrees, so this is the shot, 45 degrees, obviously you have to shoot it thinner, which is no longer the edge, but if you visualize at a 90-degree angle, you visualize a piece of chalk right there and just aim at the center of that piece of chalk, then it will go. So that's all we're doing with you, since you don't have, since the balls are a little bigger, billiards, the size of the chalk probably wouldn't help you in that respect. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to make the cue ball come off at a certain angle.
Yep.
Right? Maybe you don't know the rule of thumb for a shot like this. Oh, give me another ball.
Yep.
So let's say this is your shot, right? So you want to come in here. So you're thinking, I gotta, whatever your rules are that you're doing, that this ball has to come off of here at this angle, right? So when you think of it in terms of the angle has to come off, now you have a contact point, right? Now you're concerned about that contact point, and you also know that you have to do a stun shot, let's say, right? So you do a stun shot here, contact point's right there, right here. Then you look at the shot, and you can see that you take the contact point to the edge of the ball and you double it, right? That's how much of the ball you have to hit. So in this case, it's about a third of the ball.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So find if you're using a method that gives you a contact point because you want to go off at a certain angle. Now you use that contact point to the edge of the ball, double it. There's your aim point for the edge of the cue ball.
Right. Yeah. I like that a lot. Running over 2 rails. Okay.
Yeah. So now you can see the contact point.
Yep. Up here.
Yep. Line up that contact point to your ball, and then double it, and then that's how much of the ball. Now you figured out the slice of the ball, right? How much of it? Is it 1/3, whatever? Now you don't have to worry about the contact point anymore.
Yep.
You just know I'm aiming a 1/3 ball shot or something like that. And maybe you need a stun shot, maybe you need some right, but you know where it has to hit the ball. So you get the idea.
Yeah.
Then. So yeah, that I think will practicing this obviously on a billiard table.
Yep.
I think will, especially that one shot that you were talking about.
Yeah. So that's the one where I feel like I have the most trouble. Inconsistently.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if I have to hit, they tell me to hit a quarter ball shot. What am I aiming at?
Yeah.
What am I doing here?
Right.
Right. Yeah. So a quarter ball hit literally means that you're aiming. You're aiming the edge of this ball.
Yep.
The quarter ball hit means that that's how big the overlap is.
Yep.
So you're aiming the edge of the cue ball to the 1/4 of the ball.
Yeah. Right there, and then parallel. Go into the center.
Yep. Yeah. And if you think of it in terms of how you always shoot like that, whenever you shoot a spin shot, you're always shooting parallel to your aim line, right?
Yep.
So this is not a foreign concept to you.
Yep.
And then of course now you have to be now you concern yourself with do I have 4? Does that rule for a naturally rolling cue ball? Is that for a stunned ball? Is that
right.
As you start doing some weird shots now, those kind of things go right out the window. Like if you're doing that one tricky shot here. Right, where you're trying to come underneath the 12. So you've got to hit it pretty hard.
Yep.
You've got to use left hand spin with some draw to have it come 1, 2, 3,
yep.
and then hit it.
Yep.
Then you're adding a lot of other things, but you're even if it's something you don't know the rule, the general rule for how much of the ball to hit.
Yep.
It's something you can practice. You can go, let me try this with a half ball hit, right? I'm going to try this with a stun shot with a half ball hit. That didn't work.
Yep.
Maybe next time I need to do a little bit of draw, but I'm still going to try a half ball hit. But you can be a little more consistent now,
right? Because
you know what a half ball hit is, right?
Yep.
Or a quarter ball, or whatever it is.
These ones are kind of fun. We'll try.
Yeah. They're definitely tricky.
Yeah.
Semi makes them look easy.
Yeah. This one, my favorite, is a 2 bank off the back of, in this case, the 13. It's a fun system. I'm not sure how it works on a pool table. The midpoint of the object ball and cue ball.
Okay.
Take a line to the corner,
Mm-hmm.
and then just parallel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works in pool.
Yep.
Actually, I think your midpoint's about right there.
Yep. And so then just parallel brings you 2 rails.
Yep.
And a little bit thicker.
Yeah, we use that. I mean, we use it because a lot of times in pool, you're gonna play a safety. There's a lot of fun systems that you can use.
Huh.
Let's say, in this case, they played safe on me trying to get ball in hand. All I have to do is just hit the 8 ball, right?
Yep.
I'd like to make it, so I'm going to aim to make it.
Yep.
So I go, okay, my line is going to be, if I take the 2 rail approach like you just did, it's going to be approximately like this. So it aims at this diamond, right? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Parallel is going to be 4.5. 4.5 is, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yep.
So I aim right here. So top right. And scratch and give him the game. But yeah, it's very similar to that. It's like those little rules of thumb. If let's say that I had something like this, then yeah, use the. Some people would try to do single right into that, but they might go a little bit short and hit this ball. It's a lot safer to come in at it at 2 rails. So I just take halfway point, aim at the pocket, parallel over, and I put just a little bit of top right, and hits it full.
Yeah. I like the bridge.
Yeah.
I like pointing down.
Figure out.
Perpendicular.
Do you know why that missed?
Other than speed and being off.
Speed.
Not quite.
So you've heard that speed makes the pocket smaller.
Yep.
Do you understand why? I'll show you something here. Let's watch this. So I'm going to shoot this a little bit sloppy.
Sure.
But you've seen a shot like this before. I hit the ball and the ball comes down like this. Brushes the rail. Still goes in. So you'll notice that pool pockets almost always, well, on diamond tables they try to keep them as parallel as possible. It's called a pro cut, right?
Yeah.
But on most tables, especially valley tables,
they're like that.
they're like this.
Yeah.
What happens when you have a ball that comes into something like this? It's going to do this and come back out, right?
Yep.
The more it is like this, the fewer times it hits before it comes out. So on a table like this, it's a little tiny bit flared, not a lot, but enough that if you hit it hard enough, it's going to do a lot of this, right? And what that's going to do, it's going to spit it out.
Yeah.
So that shot I just made went in with no problem, right? But what happens when you brush the rail in exactly the same spot?
Angle.
That's what happens.
It's just exaggerated on a snooker table.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's especially with those rounded corners.
But it's because of that angle.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. So that's one of the reasons why in snooker you almost never shoot a rail shot in the pocket unless you've got something like this, right? Like you can just barely put it in. But yeah, that's what happens.
So does the Pro Cut make it easier?
Pro Cut, yes and no.
But
Pro
it's
Cut,
like a smaller pocket.
Well, here's the thing: when they go Pro Cut,
Yeah.
Here's your pocket.
Yeah.
When they go pro cut, they don't do this.
Right.
They do this.
Okay. Yeah. So it's still
on a pro cut
tight.
table, on a pro table, on a 9-foot, there are 4¼ inch pockets.
Yeah.
That's how the WNT
Right.
has been cutting them.
Mm-hmm.
And 4¼ these are, so a ball is 2 1/8.
Mm-hmm.
So this right here is 4 4
4
1/4.
4 1/4.
Wait, 1 1/8, 2. No, they're 2 1/4 inch. That's what it is. So they're 4½ inches together.
Yep.
And you can see in my table, at the moment, at that point right there,
Yep.
it's just slightly bigger than 4½ inches.
Right.
So on a 9-foot table that you see them playing like Mosconi Cup and all the WNT ones, they're 4 1/4 inches,
Right.
where the two balls will not even fit.
Yep. Yep.
So they can hit them in hard, and you'll see them hit them in hard. But if you brush the rail coming in at an angle, it changes this angle, right? Because now you're not coming in like this; you're coming in like this.
Right.
If you come in if you hit the rail first and then come at it, you're coming at it a little fuller.
Yep.
So it's not going to bounce in this way; it's going to bounce out this way.
I see.
And it should go in, but then this one you're hitting it full, so it's doing this across the gap. But you hit it so hard, it comes back out. Even pro cut are not perfectly parallel.
Yeah.
These would probably be considered pro cut.
Yeah.
Because they're very, very close to parallel. This was actually Oscar Dominguez's table.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
He sold it to me, came and installed it for me.
Yeah.
So it's nice and level. It's perfect. And
Yeah,
he redid the rails. This was a blue label table, but he put red label rails on it, which are a little bit better. They're a little livelier, and they're a little better cut. So I got a great. He even signed it.
Oh, yeah.
So
Nice.
yeah, it's a great table. So yeah, I mean that's. How do you feel so far?
Yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah,
happy with that. I have a lot to work on. Bridging off the rail is crazy. I'm so excited to.
Do you have any questions about what we went over, or anything else that you?
Not particularly.
Okay.
I think what I have, I need to practice, and as.
So I have this booklet that I give my students. I always give to them, but not realizing that it pretty much caters to pool players, not billiards players.
Yeah.
But I'll let you have this anyway,
Okay.
and if it's something that you might be able to adapt, I'll give you the concept of progressive practice, and then you could probably adapt it to billiards. Right?
Yeah.
So the idea here is to give yourself a shot that is difficult to make.
Yep.
And you make it progressively more difficult. It might be an easy shot, but whatever the shot is, you make it progressively more difficult.
Okay.
And you score yourself.
Right.
So what this is, basically what you do is you take this chart, and it tells exactly how to set up the shot.
Yep.
All right, so here we are. Here's the first one. Let me take this thing out. Kind of pain. All right. So the first one is the stop shot, right? Now that's something that you could probably practice with, because you've got to do stop shots, you've got to do follow and draw shots, right? So the idea here is on a pool table, you line this up in the pocket, and it shows you right here where the ball goes.
Yep.
Right. So this ball goes here, and your first shot is from here.
Right.
So I know this is tough, but let's see if you can do a stop shot and stop the cue ball. And you have to stop the cue ball anywhere inside this square.
Okay.
Without hitting the end rail. Stop shot. Well, you drew back.
I drew.
Yep. Now, you're probably not going to do a whole lot of stop shots in billiards, but it's good. But you probably do stun shots.
Yep. Yep.
So this is a good drill just to help you practice. So that was 2 shots so far. Now when you fail, you move backwards.
Okay.
And when you succeed, you move forwards.
Okay.
So if you succeed on one, which you did on your second shot, you put the ball here,
And then come to
and you move backwards.
2. Okay.
You try that.
Yep.
If you succeed, you move backwards. The idea is to get up to 7. That's your max score.
Right.
Stop shot from there.
Yep.
And this tells you that the object ball stays.
Yep.
The cue ball moves to these positions. Makes sense, right? This one here is a follow shot. Same thing. And this is going to be more something that you that will help you in your game. Follow. So the follow shot, both balls move, right? And this is the first position, right here. And you have to follow it into this area, 1 diamond. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then if you succeed,
Both move. Yeah.
both.
Right.
Like
Right.
that.
Right.
And that's all that's telling you there is for the follow shot. Then the draw shot, you have to draw back at least 1 diamond. So this ball stays here, right there, and you have to draw it back past this diamond. Is that right? Did I do that right? Yep. So same shot from here, from here, from here. Each one you have to draw back past this diamond.
Yep.
Right. And then you've got your cut shots. You set the ball up here, about 1 inch away from the rail in front of the pocket. And your first shot's from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, trying to make the ball in the pocket. As you can see, this level is really easy for most players. Then it gets more difficult. Now you have to stop it inside. You're farther away from the pocket, and you have to stop it within this circle.
Yep.
You have to follow, but you have to land within that square. Last time it was a whole area.
Right.
This time you have to end it there.
Yeah.
Draw shot, you have to go back to where your cue ball was or past it. So when you're doing a draw shot down there and you're shooting from here, you've got to draw it back at least to there.
Yeah.
And then your cut shot is a little bit more difficult. That's closer to the diamond here. And your shots are from here.
Right.
So it's a little harder shot there. That's level 2. Level 3, you got to stop it precisely.
Okay.
Your follow, you have to follow into the pocket. The draw shot, you have to draw it back to where the cue ball is within a diamond. So you can't just power it back. You have to be precise, right? And then your cut shot is at the second diamond. That's even tougher. There's 5 levels.
Oh, jeez.
So there's your this one's kind of cool because they say it's a stop shot, but it's actually a stun shot. That's why stop is in quotes. You're still the concept of a stop shot. But what you're doing is you have ball in hand, you put the object ball 2 balls away from the rail, and you have to stop it at each of these points.
Yeah.
Right. You have to stun it so that it goes to those points.
Yeah.
Within 9 inches, it says here. Your follow shot is leave the cue ball within 9 inches of the spot. I'm not sure what spot they're talking. Or maybe they're talking about leave the cue ball within 9 inches of the spot. They're not showing the spot.
I think the 1, 2.
Oh, yeah. You follow the ball in, or you shoot the ball in the corner, and you have to leave the cue ball at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 and 7 are off the rail and back up.
Yeah.
So a lot more precise. This is going to be getting more into the territory of billiards. Where, you're trying to control that cue ball. These would be even tougher on a Simonis 10-foot heated table, right? Your draw shot, you got to draw back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you have to draw back to this area.
Yeah.
And then your cut shot is from the spot, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So your last shot is from here, cutting that ball into the corner. And the tough thing about that is that's a tough shot, and some people can make that half the time. But you have to make all these other ones before you. Oh, 7's from here. You got to cut that into the corner. So yeah. And then you've got the pros. Yeah. Even the pros have trouble with this.
Really?
This is another stun where you got to stun it 1, 2, 3, 4, and then off the rail and back up.
Yeah.
So, but here the thing about this is you don't have to do these exact drills. If you have a pool table available and you want to try these, it's you can try them exactly as they're in here. But what you can do is you can set up shots and figure out shots on a billiard table that, maybe you try that quarter ball hit and you put the cue and you put the object ball that you have to hit right here.
Yep.
And then the next one is here. The next one's here. The next one's here. So you have to change.
Right.
Maybe you have to add a little more draw to it or something like that.
Yeah.
All kinds of things that you can do. This kind of guides you into how to set up progressive shots and score yourself on them. You score in the back, and the cool thing about this is this gives you a concrete score that you can measure against subsequent. Because you might feel like, I'm missing this. I just can't do this, but you find that you still scored higher than the last time.
Yeah.
So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 set number, and then you've got your 4 shots. A, B. Your stop. Stop, follow, draw, and cut. You score whatever your 10th shot gives you. So if you miss the 10th shot, you move the ball forward, and that's your final score.
Right.
Whatever your score was, you total them up, and then you divide by 4 to get your final score. And then, that gives you a running log of how well you're doing and whether or not you're improving, that sort of thing. So.
That's cool. I feel like that practice would carry over for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It would be so precise.
Cool.
I'm not even sure I have the draw stroke to make it back up table width.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's especially with those heavy balls, man. That is rough. You still got me for another 20 minutes. You want to maybe play a game or something?
Yeah, that sounds great.
I'll kind of keep an eye on you to see how you're following up on the things that we talked about.
Yeah, sounds perfect.
Okay. I got these balls brand new for Christmas.
Oh yeah.
I like to take my own balls to Crown because the ones at Crown, they get mixed. The sets all get mixed up, and then you don't get as tight a rack. Because they're not perfect. They're good balls. They have centennial balls, but from one set to the next, they're not exactly the same measurements, right? So as you get them mixed up, when you're trying to rack them tight, you get gaps, tiny little gaps in certain places. Even just a micrometer of a difference between two balls can leave a pretty large gap.
I just got a new set of air myths on my table. They're nice. The owner of Jimmy's in Milpitas, he's convinced they play differently from the brand that I normally use.
A lot of people talk about how balls play very differently, but I mean the material and the finish on them might make a difference. But you hear people talk about the difference between all these balls. I've got, for instance, the red dot versus the measle ball.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's that big a difference, but I have a break cue if you'd like to use that. So
no, that's fine. I always break with my playing cue, especially if I'm using my carom shaft.
Oh yeah, that thing's designed to take a beating. By the way, I have some water here.
Yeah. Get a glass after this, I mean. This is a
Open.
we play BCA.
BCA is good. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's open.
Yeah. The temp.
Have you played BCA? I know you said you played BCA.
Yeah.
APA with Anani.
I played 1 or 2 seasons at Broken Rack back when they did it. And I played 1 season over the summer at Draw in Berkeley.
Okay.
So I know the rules, but
Yeah, the one place in Berkeley is
Break Room. It's called Break Room.
Break Room.
Yeah.
Shattuck.
Yep.
not quite.
Gave me a chance.
Yeah, I was trying to throw that in. Awfully tough.
Here's yours. I did what I always tell my students not to do. I just sat here like this and just went back down the ball instead of stepping back and looking at it. You notice the bridge I'm using. Right on the edge. I want to put a little bit of draw so I'm raised up a little bit. It's nice and sturdy. That is not what I wanted to do. Oh, they're giving you a chance. Yep. Nope. Nice job. Thank you. So I'm going to send you a link to the recording. I also recorded on my phone mainly because we're getting married in April and I wanted to see how long I can record.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed I have 2 microphones on the lights.
Oh no.
I want to see how the sound is and all that kind of stuff. So, but I will send you a link to the recording.
And
Yeah, that'd be good. Thank you.
I've had issues with sound before, so I'm really hoping the sound turned out. I know that sound should be working on that recording, so I'll have something for you.
Yeah.
What do I want to do here? We kind of babied that break. I think I can combo that. Yeah, of course. Oh. Okay. All right. Or if I can stun into that one. That's gonna be tough. And if I don't do it, leave myself no shot. Why not? Just missing. Oh, look at that. Perfect. Contact point. Supposed to hit the 4. What do you think? Back to 15. Cue ball. If I hit it hard enough, cue ball here, between the balls. Perfect position on the 13, right? He's headed that way. Perfect. All part of my plan. Did you ever play safe in 3 cushion?
My game, it's kind of a weird rule where you need to at least attempt to score a point. Okay. You can't just like tap the ball.
Right. Nice shot. That's really good.
But you can choose shots that will likely leave your opponent on one end of the table, the other 2 balls.
Right.
The other end, and so.
Well, it's an interesting dynamic considering the fact that you both have different cue balls. So
yeah,
taking that into consideration, you could shoot a shot that works well for you if you make it,
and if you miss,
if you miss, he's left with a really tough.
Yeah. So you weigh that in. If your best choice of shot is still hard, you'd rather play a hard shot that is a bit safe.
I'm gonna call it here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to miss. Oh yes, perfect.
He's getting worried about behind the orange.
These are the Aramith Pro TV series balls. The box Aramith Tournament TV Pro Cup. The pink with the pink 4 and 12.
Yeah.
I also have the Predators. What do they call those?
It's like Arcos, something like
Arcos,
that.
Yeah, Predator Arcos 2. They have an old set of Aramith balls. I have a set of the Cyclop balls. Those were popular for a while. You remember those?
No, I don't think I've seen them.
These are.
I've heard of them.
This is Cyclop.
Yeah.
You may have seen them before. They had these on TV for a while. They're all weird colors.
Oh yes, yes.
The green 6 and
Right.
the blue 7.
Yes, I have seen those.
Yeah. Got a set of these. I think I got this set. It's back when they were really popular, and I bought them used at the BCA tournament. This is my favorite
They were
set.
using them in the bar table championships for
Yeah.
a while, which is where I recognize them from.
And these are really cool.
Whoa.
Yeah. The stripes are opposite.
Yeah, that's
and there's no
wild.
numbers. No numbers on them.
Wild.
Yeah. Never heard of them before. Prestige billiard balls. They're really cool. Aurora found them for me once. I feel like I'm at the point now where I'm collecting them.
Yeah.
But I have 2 sets of balls that I can bring to Crown that I have brand new. One is the Predators, and now I've got these. So we play on 2 tables when we're playing. It's so funny. There are some players though that I bring the balls in. I'm like, hey, I got my own balls. You okay with playing this? Oh no, I don't want to do that. Like it's gonna give me an advantage or something. Right? It's playing with balls that actually rack well and are clean. You know, they're not bar room dirty.
Right.
You know. Oh, you're mean. What was it? A scratch. If I can go off that 7 and kind of cheat it.
That's impossible, yeah.
I kind of like that one because I think I can get around and get to my other ball this way. Let's give it a shot. On the side. Well, hey, we're talking about thin shots.
Yeah.
We never really covered the thin shots. But I think that with our talk about quarter ball shots and contact points and all that stuff, that should help you to a point where when you've got to do a really thin shot, now you're looking at the contact point. Super thin, you're pretty much aiming the edge to the edge.
Right.
So.
Yes. I think so too.
That should make it tough for you. With your three cushion expertise, should be really good cue ball position.
The speed is right, yeah.
That's what it's all about. It's mostly about cue ball, about speed and understanding follow and draw, while understanding spin off the rails too. Look at that. Nice. Last 2 should be a piece of cake, huh? Uh-oh.
I have a tendency sometimes to close my bridge even more.
Oh, as you're shooting?
To try to, for some reason I picked up a habit where I'm, say, near an object ball and don't want to follow through, I close my bridge to try and stop the cue.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes randomly my brain will go, ah.
Yeah.
So
I get that.
That's what happened there.
Yeah, just definitely want to try to focus on keeping that bridge still.
Yeah.
Remember what I said, to be the right thickness for
Yeah.
the point of contact.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And
so that'll take some work.
Yeah. And then if you're trying for a softer shot, you should do all your planning standing up.
Yep.
Right? Down on the shot, you don't want to plan. You want to be ready to shoot.
Right.
So when you're up, you're planning like, okay, I need to do a soft shot. Now you know how soft you want to go. That should control how close to the ball you are, how close your bridge is, and then you just do the job.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
All right, I'll take it from here and see if I can get my position. I'll go for 4-rail position.
Need some speed.
Yep. We're gonna go for right here.
Yep. Short, long, short.
So you go away. Even hitting it that hard, it's still close enough.
Yes.
One more?
Yeah, one more.
All right.
One pocket game?
Sure.
Okay. Then you can call it. That's my game of choice if I'm at a pool table.
Oh, okay. So it's going to be interesting playing it on a subject table.
Is this my 7 feet?
Yep.
Crazy.
There you go.
So it looks big in the room.
Yeah, it does a little bit, but yeah, it's the bar table.
For some reason, I did not expect that. Despite having played on it for the last 2 hours.
Guess I'm just used to a 10-foot table.
Right, yeah. Interesting. It's an interesting rack formation, isn't it? This is Aurora's favorite game.
It's almost like a 9-ball rack.
Yeah.
With oblong.
Yeah. I say that I said this is Aurora's favorite. I said it with a ton of sarcasm. She hates this game. She loves to watch me play when we're crowned.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she finds out that I'm playing one pocket, she's like, oh god. Amazon. Your bike is secure.
Sounds right from the conversation. Being told to get back to work.
Our next door neighbors over there are doing a brand new patio, almost their entire backyard has brick and everything. Nice. Gonna work?
Oh,
Can you give it to me?
I
We're playing your
think
favorite
so.
game. See? Oh, for God's sake. What's the matter?
Nice. I'll see you tomorrow.
Oh no. Oh no. Here's your chance.
Yeah.
So he's living in Oakland, huh?
Yeah, for about 10 years.
What do you do?
Software.
Oh, okay. I'll take that.
I do not want to hit that ball.
I'm a software developer for the county.
Criminal justice nonprofit that works with state governments.
Oh yeah? All right. I'm not supposed to do this, but what the heck?
You can hit it pretty badly and still make it.
Yeah. Had a big ball there. Yeah, I wrote a book on PHP like in a previous life. And to this day, it's probably been 20 years since I've touched PHP. I'd have to read my own book just to, oh no! So pretty, too.
Bummer.
All right, how confident am I that that's going to go in? I think I'm pretty confident. Let's get crazy. Keep an eye on the balls, because 4 ball is going to go in. Gave you one too.
I'll take it.
Yeah, it wasn't a real plan. I was trying to hide it, but not quite. taking away our Christmas.
I know.
Yeah, that one I was making sure the width of my close bridge was right for the length of the bridge. I like that a lot. Something I never do.
Oh, that's just fraught with danger. What do you just go for it?
Yeah.
Yeah? You like that, huh? All right, well, let's see how my thin coat is. Why not? Oh, no. Oh, that'll work. I'll take that. Thank you. Sometimes you just gotta rely on your luck.
Boy, that speed.
So can I get a little more luck? I will take it. What can I do with it?
Mixed in with the blocks.
Oh,
I'm gonna try.
well, we can send it to him or bring it to him. I don't think he's gonna miss it. Oh, look at you. What? Get in there.
Oh, come on. Okay.
Well done. Oh, going for the Z-Bank?
Yeah, trying it. Not sure when I thought I got out of the kiss.
Oh, I think I'm out of the kiss here. Let's see. Oh, not enough Wheaties this morning.
Fortunate.
focus. Jeez. Can't get much luckier than that. You see this triangle that
No.
got me for this thing was made by the same guy who made this. This is made from barrel staves.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
This is made from the barrel head. Sucker's heavy. It's accurate though. It's really really nice. Okay. Well, that was interesting. Not gonna get enough speed off of that. That was amazing.
Didn't do anything I wanted.
My table just loves me, I guess. Oh, come on. I think that's 7. Oh,
Nice game.
no, one of these balls was yours, I think.
No.
Wasn't it?
No. I moved it over.
Oh.
You made the 4 and the 15 in the same shot.
Oh, all right.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
I appreciate it, Michael.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Excited to get to work.
Looks like the mics are still on, so.
Barren here without all the useless stuff. I don't think I put out this much stuff in a decade.
So I actually recorded this thing 3 different ways. I have the YouTube streaming, also recording, and then recording on the phone too. So got it 3 different ways.
Let's see, what do I owe you?
$60. Yep. And from this point forward, if you want to do another lesson, you can do it in 1 hour.
Okay. Yeah.
And I charge $40 an hour.
Okay.
I like to do 2 hours for the first one, so you can check fundamentals
Right.
and kind of. I think I have one.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. Thank you.
All right. You're very welcome. Thank you. If you, I'm gonna send you, like I said, we've got your email, so I'm gonna send you a link to the video. I'll send you a recap of the stuff that we talked about.
Yep.
And if you have questions, if you want to brush up on something, just feel free to email me or text me.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Don't forget your
Yes.
progressive practice stuff. You have a place you're gonna be able to carry that with you?
Yeah, I've got a little basket on my bike.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Most things will go in there.
All right. Chalk. Your chalk.
It's whenever I take a piece of chalk out, I always leave it.
All right.
Thank you, Michael.
Have a good trip back. Did you hear him?
No.
He said, nice to meet you.
Oh my God, I did not hear him. Oh, jeez. Yeah, I was trying to be incognito here.
It's fine. I stopped. Well, I stopped this one. I'll just trim.